Deep in the heart of the African savannah stood a village feared by every traveler. Its name was Londu. By day, it looked like any other village, peaceful beneath towering baobab trees. But when the full moon rose, fear took its place. The elders always warned, never enter Londu beneath a full moon. Legend claimed that anyone who did was never seen again. Around the evening fire, Elder Jabari often reminded the young hunters, "Not every danger reveals itself. Some wait quietly for those who ignore the warnings." Most people believed him. They avoided the road to Londu, choosing longer and safer paths across the savannah. But one young hunter could never silence his curiosity. His name was Kofi. At 18, he was fearless, determined, and always searching for the truth behind every legend. One afternoon, he watched a caravan turn away from the road leading to Londu. He asked an old trader, "Why avoid the shortest route?" The old man replied, "Because some roads demand a price no traveler should ever pay." Those words stayed with Kofi. Instead of frightening him, they strengthened his resolve. When the next full moon arrived, he packed dried food, water, herbs, and his father's blue beaded necklace. He sharpened his spear, secured his satchel, and prepared for the journey. Before he could leave, Elder Jabari and the village elders stopped him. "My son," Elder Jabari said gently, "there is no shame in walking away from a dangerous path." Kofi bowed respectfully. "If the stories are true, I will return with the truth. If they are not, our people will never have to fear Londu again." The elders exchanged worried glances. Finally, Elder Jabari lifted his carved staff and said, "May the ancestors walk beside you, and may they lead you safely home." Without another word, Kofi stepped beyond the last thought. Behind him stood the voices of caution. Ahead of him waited Londu, and a secret that had slept beneath the moon for generations. The full moon lit Kofi's path as he crossed into Londu. The village was exactly as the stories described. Its huts still stood. Its market remained untouched, yet not a single soul could be seen. Kofi walked cautiously through the empty streets. Clay pots rested outside the houses. Market stalls were neatly arranged. It was as if the villagers had vanished without warning. Then he noticed something strange. Every lantern was still burning. Their warm light flickered against the walls, but there was no one to tend them. Kofi frowned. "Who's keeping these flames alive?" Only silence answered him. He stepped into the village square and called out, "Is anyone here?" His voice echoed through the empty streets before fading into the night. No footsteps, no voices, no movement, just an eerie silence that seemed to watch him. As Kofi turned to leave the square, a faint sound reached his ears. Boom! He froze. A distant drumbeat echoed through the darkness. Boom, boom, slow, steady. Ancient, it seemed to call only to him. Gripping his spear tightly, Kofi followed the mysterious rhythm through the deserted village. With every step, the drum grew louder. Soon it led him to the oldest place in Londu. A gigantic baobab tree stood at the village's center, its massive roots spreading across the ground like giant serpents. The trunk was covered with strange ancestral symbols unlike anything Kofi had ever seen. As he moved closer, the drumbeat suddenly stopped. Silence returned. Kofi slowly reached out and placed his hand against the ancient bark. At once, the symbols burst into a brilliant blue glow. The earth rumbled beneath his feet. Lanterns swayed, dust rose into the air. Kofi stumbled backward in shock. What have I awakened? Before his eyes, the giant roots of the sacred baobab began to move. The ancient roots twisted and slowly pulled apart, revealing a hidden stone staircase beneath the great baobab. A cool breeze drifted upward from the darkness. Kofi stared in disbelief. So, the legends were true. For a moment, he considered turning back. The elder's warnings echoed in his mind, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. Holding his spear firmly, he began his descent. Each step carried him deeper beneath the earth. The moonlight faded behind him, replaced by the soft blue glow of giant crystals embedded in the cavern walls. The air grew warmer. The distant sound of flowing water filled the silence. When Kofi reached the bottom, he stopped in amazement. Before him stood a magnificent Eden city. Crystal-clear streams flowed through beautifully carved stone streets. Towering pillars, glowing crystals, waterfalls, and colorful gardens filled the underground world with life. It was unlike anything he had ever imagined. So, Londu never disappeared, he whispered. It was hidden. As Kofi slowly walked forward, people began to emerge from every direction. Men, women, and children dressed in beautiful traditional clothing watched him in complete silence. None of them looked frightened. Instead, they looked surprised, as though they had been expecting him. The crowd quietly parted. An elderly man stepped forward, leaning on a beautifully carved wooden staff. His long white beard rested upon his embroidered robes, and wisdom shone in his gentle eyes. He smiled warmly. "Welcome, Kofi." Kofi's eyes widened. "You know my name?" The old man nodded. "We have been waiting for you." A chill ran through Kofi's body. For the first time since entering Londu, he realized this journey had never been a coincidence. Kofi tightened his grip on his spear as he faced the old man. "Who are you?" he asked. The elder smiled gently. "My name is Elder Jabari, guardian of Londu." Kofi frowned. "Guardian, but..." "The elders in my village said Londu vanished long ago." "It vanished from the world," Elder Jabari replied, "but not from history." He motioned for Kofi to follow him. Together, they walked through the Eden city as its people greeted them with quiet smiles. Children played beside crystal-clear streams while artisans carved wood and shaped clay as though life had never stopped. Kofi looked around in amazement. Why hide from the world? Elder Jabari paused beside a towering stone pillar covered in ancient carvings. Many generations ago, powerful men came seeking the riches and sacred knowledge of Londu. They brought greed instead of wisdom. So the ancestors protected the village, Kofi said softly. The elder nodded. They concealed Londu beneath the earth, allowing only those with a pure heart to find it. As they continued, they entered a magnificent hall, illuminated by glowing blue crystals. At its center rested a large stone engraved with ancient symbols. "This," Elder Jabari said, "is the stone of memory. It holds the story of our people." Kofi stepped closer, unable to hide his curiosity. The moment his fingers touched the stone, its carvings began to shine. As the stone of memory glowed, waves of blue light spread across the hall. The ancient carvings slowly came to life. Before Kofi's eyes, visions of the past filled the air. He saw the founders of Londu building the village beneath the great baobab. He saw generations living in peace, protecting their traditions and passing their wisdom from one elder to another. Then the vision changed. Strangers arrived from distant lands, searching for the village's treasures. They demanded its riches and sacred knowledge. When the people of Londu refused, conflict followed. To save their home, the ancestors made a final sacrifice. With their prayers, the earth opened, hiding Londu beneath the roots of the sacred baobab, where only the worthy could find it. The vision slowly faded. Kofi stood in silence, overwhelmed by what he had witnessed. "So the stories were true," he whispered. "They were," Elder Jabari replied. But the world remembered only the fear and forgot the reason behind it. Kofi lowered his head thoughtfully. "Why have you shown me all this?" The elder smiled. "Because every story must have someone willing to protect it." The people of Londu gathered quietly around them. For the first time, Kofi understood why he had been led to this hidden place. He had not come to uncover a legend. He had come to become part of it. The Hall of Ancestors grew silent as Elder Jabari looked into Kofi's eyes. Our people have guarded this secret for generations, he said. Now you know the truth. Kofi lowered his head respectfully. Why reveal it to me? Because every story deserves someone who will protect it, Elder Jabari replied. The world has remembered our disappearance, but forgotten who we truly are. Kofi looked around the magnificent hall. The glowing crystals, the ancient statues, and the people of Londu, who had preserved their way of life for generations. He understood at last. He had not been chosen to reveal their home. He had been chosen to preserve their legacy. Kofi placed his hand over his heart and looked at Elder Jabari. I will tell your story, he said softly, but I will never reveal the path to Londu. A warm smile spread across Elder Jabari's face. The ancestors chose well. The people of Londu nodded with quiet pride, knowing their history would live on without their sanctuary being disturbed. Far beneath the roots of the sacred baobab, the hidden city continued to flourish. Children laughed beside crystal streams. Artisans carved wood with patient hands. Hunters returned from their journeys. The elders shared stories beneath the glow of ancient crystals, just as their ancestors had done for centuries. Londu had never been lost. It had simply been waiting for someone worthy enough to remember it. As the time came to leave, Kofi stood for one final moment overlooking the hidden city. He carried no treasure, no riches, only a promise to keep the secret of Londu safe. Back on the surface, the setting sun bathed the savannah in gold as Kofi walked away from the sacred baobab. Halfway down the hill, he paused and looked back one last time. The ancient tree stood silently against the horizon, guarding the hidden city beneath its roots. Kofi smiled. Some legends were never meant to be found. They were meant to be remembered. And somewhere beyond the endless grasslands, another forgotten story was already waiting for the young hunter who had chosen to listen. Because in the heart of Africa, the echoes of the savannah had only just begun.